Hey guys, it's Will. So, one of the most impactful sectors of AI is defense. If you guys take a look at the defense industry, there's a lot of movement happening related to some of the AI companies, especially this company, CTM. You might look at defense companies like Palantir or Big Bear AI, specifically because they focus on processing large amounts of data and then helping the governments make decisions around what they should do with certain things that happen and not really have to have one person try and process all these different variables, but let AI and machine learning do the work for you. So, one of the companies that's really small, it's not as established as Big Bear or as Palantir. They don't have massive government contracts, but they do have some $100 million plus contracts, and their revenue and financials are what have really kind of drawn us to them. The company's CTM stock, Castellum Inc., and you can see that they've recently developed this overall uptrend the past few months. They had a pretty large surge down here from about 15 cents up to $3 and then sold off since then, along with the rest of the market to start the year. Now they're starting to build some of this value. Their market cap has gotten up to around, I think at one point here, maybe 100 to 300 million. And then currently it's sitting just below 100 million. And you can see this trend right now. Now, one thing to note is it's still maybe a little bit on the bearish side because it's below the 200-day moving average, but it's also pretty volatile. And some of the swings that we see are kind of maybe a little crazy on the near term. On the long term, I don't think about it too much. I have some long term positions in CTM, but when it comes to the near term, we like to trade some of these swings. Some of the biggest swings that we've traded this year, we had an 87-cent entry up here that went up to $1.62, and we sold somewhere around here $1.50. That was a 67% swing. And they have some intrinsically good values that I believe could put them into a similar type of move. So CTM stock, it's holding right here around 96 cents currently, and it's starting to, build a little bit of momentum on this level. So what we're looking for is kind of a move that would happen similar to this. The risk right now seems a little more on the conservative side because it's near this support. And then the long-term upside or near-term upside, seems pretty good. So for that reason, we're going to be watching it really closely on Monday. And there's three things specifically that we look at when we're identifying any stock in the stock market. The first one is the market. So being an AI and defense, Castellum Inc. has the same type of contracts that you would see given to Palantir or Big Bear. And part of the reason why is because in December, they were awarded this Oasis Plus unrestricted IDIQ contract. So what does that mean? It means they're one of the companies in the defense sector that is right there, ready to serve the government. So the government has on-demand help from Castellum, and Oasis Plus means they have a 10-year performance period with no ceiling value, meaning these contracts could be worth any amounts, and it helps them expand into really serving the government and getting that contract. After this contract was awarded to them, or this ability to be on demand for the US government, they started seeing a lot more contracts. So that was December 2024. Then you get into, starting the year, they then got this small business administration protege, which means they were essentially shadowing other companies and learning from other companies that are getting contracts from the US government. In this case, it was a company called Krilla K2, and they have Seaport next generation contract. So Seaport means, for example, if you go over to you could go over to Big Bear AI. They have this one image. If you take a look at Big Bear AI, they're kind of in the same space. Here's a really good example. Basically, there's so many different things that happen in the seaport. You see this image right here. So this image kind of illustrates you have different different ships coming in, different cargo, different entry points, different times of day, and all of those things are variables to be able to track what those seaports are doing, and visually be able to identify threats or things that might be unusual. And so those are defense type of technologies that come in handy. So when it comes to Castellum, they have a contract with the Navy Seaport. It's $103 million contract. So this is kind of, the market's growing. Now we're getting into the analysis stage number 2, which is the news. And then there's the technicals, and then there's the financials. So the news side of things, you see a $103 million contract here for naval air systems. It's special missions, and they specifically focus on intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, and their company is in technical logistics and software and AI. So if you look at those types of contracts, kind of look at the company, they're pretty consistent in their new contracts. However, they do things recently where they've been raising money. They've been offering some shares, public offerings, to get some more cash, which is fine. They're a smaller cap company, and that's not unusual. But that's something that they would do if they're trying to really raise their market cap and get them into incentivize more investors to look at their company. And you have to do that when you're small cap. So just keep that in mind. So $100 million contracts, you could take a look outside of that. And the other thing actually to look at that is the, before we get to the financials, level 3 appraisal means that they are recognized as a company that has systems that can allow them to service larger contracts for the government. So you can see this is CMMI, which stands for the Capability Maturity Model Integration. So here it says it boosts their technical evaluation score on new opportunities requiring this certification. In other words, if they're trying to get contracts in the US or anything like that, let's say related to defense, having the maturity level 3 means they're able to take on bigger contracts, and they can display that they have the ability to service them and hire, and they have the systems and documentation to grow their team pretty quickly, if that makes sense. Pretty straightforward. So when you take a look then at CTM stock, but those things are nice, but then you say, well, how are the financials? Well, we take a look at the financials. It's actually quite promising. You see their revenue quarter over quarter holding around $10 to $12 million in revenue. That's actually really good for a market cap. If their market cap is really only at $81 million, that's a really good indication that if they're only $81 million, but they're bringing in, let's say, 40 to 50 million a year, that's a pretty good valuation discrepancy that we might be able to see grow their stock in the near term. So net income, you can see 1.28 million negative there, and then negative 2 million. That's okay. That could be part of just expanding. And I wouldn't, when your margins are that small, but your revenue is also pretty small, that's not too concerning. So the financials overall, from a revenue standpoint, look very good. Net income does look like they're spending a pretty substantial amount, but not anything that would be too worrying, as it's improving year over year. So you kind of take a step back from that. Financials, the contracts, hundreds of millions of dollars, but their market cap's only at 80 million. And you say, okay, it kind of makes sense that the financials or the stock could grow. Now investor sentiment says, are we going to see that kick in with investor sentiment? Do we see more investors are saying, yeah, this could be a $3 to $5 stock, or this could be a this could be $100 to $300 million market cap given their revenues? Yeah, I think we could see that. I think $100 million market cap or more could make sense for CTM, especially if they continue to get those types of contracts and the financials improve. So as we've traded it quite a bit, I remember we were at Miami, we were traveling. I was at a cafe in the morning, and we got in live for a stockmate session. We go live every morning at market open, and I'm sitting there at a cafe. I'm drinking coffee just like this, and we're trading CTM stock, and we buy it in our live session at 87 cents, and it goes up to 106 $1.67. It basically doubles in just a matter of minutes on one of these days. It was crazy. And so I'll never forget that, because what happened was you had a bunch of members in our stockmate community do really well. And ever since then, now we have people that are not only trading it, personally, I trade it, but also we have some long-term positions. So as we start to look for the payoff, maybe in the near term, this could be maybe the next move that we see. Now, there's risk because it's, again, pretty low cap, like it's small cap stock, so it moves volatile. But if it holds this level and it continues maybe to trend in this direction upwards, maybe see a break above this moving average, once it gets up to about $1.05, which was a key support level when we were trading it back here, but now it's kind of a resistance, is that $1.05, if it breaks above, that could be really good indication for that type of swing to take place. But right now it is below that 200-day moving average. It's holding a little bit bullish on this trend line, but what we'd like to see is a break above $1.05, and then most likely we would do a shorter term trade on top of our long positions to maybe capitalize on some of that value. But we also have to watch it at market open, see how the momentum's playing out, and I look forward to covering it here on Monday. There's some new tariffs that are impacting AI, the semiconductor space, as well as tech and quantum. Quantum's being impacted a little bit there, but also AI defense is an industry that's growing pretty quickly. And it's not just about finding the right stocks, but the number one thing that I found that's been really had me in the right positions to capitalize on some of the moves in down or up markets is just going in with the trading plan. So no matter what here, we're going to have a trading plan if we enter it, and that's what we'll be looking to. We always use a trading plan when investing in AI and quantum. If you guys ever want to see us enter and exit trades on a daily basis, we don't always trade every morning, but we do go live every morning in our stockmate community. If you guys ever want to be a part of it, we invest in the best quantum, AI, and space companies. There's a lot of great things you receive, including fundamental analysis, if you're looking to learn that, our A to Z guide with technical analysis, the charts, the candlesticks. You also get some books, and would love to have you guys here inside of the stockmate community. And then also our weekly watch list that we release each and every week. And if you guys ever would like to join, this sale is ending soon, so would love to have you guys there. Again, it's that second link in the description to watch us trade live. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you all. Do consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.